Hi, this is Amy Magyar from FromWithin Coaching. Today I'm here with one of our amazing affiliate coaches at FromWithin, Augusta Goodcrawl, on her birthday, to
Oh,
be
goodness.
full transparency. Happy birthday.
Thank you and good
And,
morning.
and funny enough, today what we're going to be working on is unpacking the CliftonStrengths of competition. But I just want to pause for a second. And of course, I fully believe that everybody should take their birthday off, no matter whether you're in the middle of COVID, you're in the middle of summer, you're in the, whatever it is. You should always take your birthday off. And yet, what I actually know is that when you talk about CliftonStrengths, it actually is a gift for you. You love it so much that you do it even on your birthday.
I have been looking forward. I'm always looking forward to my Tuesdays because I do love talking about these and how they show up and what our experiences are and how we can help others get to know themselves and develop the self-awareness around strengths. Yeah, I'm passionate about it.
For
So
those
I'm
people,
definitely here on my birthday.
yeah, for those people who this may be the first, this is the first video that they're watching from us as we unpack each one of the strengths. I'm curious, you just gave me the red carpet. I'm going to take it. What is it about strengths for you that is fun to play with or that does fuel you? And talking about strengths. So I'm sorry to put you on the hot spot for a second, but what is it about strengths for you that gets you excited?
I think, definitely a couple of things, but one of them is helping others become self-aware around how it is that they best navigate through the world. Because as a coach, that energizes me more than anything. And when we use strengths and can understand, especially our top five, and really look at them and see how they play together and see it. I mean, for me, when I first learned about strengths, I was able to go, oh, this is why I do what I do. And I had a lot of judgment actually against some of my high strengths, but understanding them helped me to realize, oh, how can I use this to my advantage? And I think as a coach, we're really trying to help others find, three E's: ease, excellence, and enjoyment.
Oh, love
In
it.
life,
Yeah.
in career, with self. And I do this work within my own self-inquiry, beginning of all coaching. I utilize the strengths work as it really helps people define where they can find and live into those three E's.
Let's talk about a little judgment, because I think one of the things that happens with the strength that we're going to unpack today, competition,
Mm-hmm.
is that it is not a strength that shows up as commonly as some of the other strengths. And so I think for coaches, when we do have somebody that has it, there's like a 50-50 reaction, and it is really extreme in that sense of the one reaction is, oh my, almost like, yeah, I won, right? Which is competition. Like, I won, I got it. And then the other 50% that is so on the other extreme is, I don't want to be competitive. That sounds like I'm mean, and so we're going to talk a little bit today, because
for sure.
there can be some judgment, self-judgment. If I define competition as comparison, because it's for me really often what CliftonStrengths competition is that I often think people immediately, when they find out they have competition, well, how many other people have that? It's like, again, this comparison side. So if I use the term, I'm going to read this. So let me just be official and read this. People strong in the competition theme measure their progress against the performance of others. They strive to win first place and revel in contests. So that's what CliftonStrengths says. The beauty of you and I unpacking these and having conversation is, okay, in people terms, what does that really mean? And for me, competition is very much about comparison, not in a bad way, right?
Right.
In theory, it is, they are very much trying to understand where they are in the world based on where other people may be, right?
Yeah, that's a great way to say it.
How would you describe it?
Yeah, it's almost like it's an external. They're able to really look outside and define success from that comparison standpoint that you were talking about. And, whereas some others might define success in more of an internal way.
Sure.
You really see the external kind of almost left and right ability to always be looking and assessing in competition. And it made me think of as when I was in college, I was a collegiate rower, a lightweight rower. And so, we had a coxswain who was the one who would steer us. And she was the one constantly looking left and right, seeing where we were in competition,
Ah,
comparing, where we were. And we, as the actual rowers, kind of kept to our own inner work. She was always looking left and right. And so that's kind of what came to my mind when I thought about somebody who has competition high in their top 5. It's that ability to really look around.
You have just perfectly described what leadership in competition looks like, because I think, and the mature side of it, right? The ceiling of the strength of, it doesn't mean fight, fight, fight. It means scanning, looking, making sure that you're helping to understand where the group is, or your team, or your business, or wherever it is, so that, in a sense, it's an influencing theme.
Totally, yeah.
But I almost think, in how we even described it, it's almost strategic in nature, in looking and scanning, right? Where are we? Let me understand, and the focus around that.
Yeah.
So beautifully said.
Yeah, those metrics are really, really important to somebody who has, competition in their top 5. And it's a wonderful thing, because they're able to really ask those questions. Who are we competing against? Where are they? What are the numbers we need to beat? They're really on a team, or in an organization, able to help, I think, keep a product, or whatever their product is, help it keep relevant in the marketplace.
Yeah.
Because it is that ability to say, where is everything else in comparison to where we are.
I just had an aha moment. So sometimes with our strengths, we use the term, competition. That theme thrives on data. Where are we? What's the numbers? Where, that is one way that it shows up. And yet it's not analytical. And here's the difference. Analytical enjoys the process of looking at the data to come up with a decision. Competition looks at the data. The data doesn't fuel them. The winning, based on what the competition tells them, how they can do it, where they are, that's where the fuel comes from. Not from number crunching.
Right, exactly.
But from the winning. And so competition, I think the other thing that's so neat, and I'm sure you have many stories of being a competitive rower. How does one win? They prepare. And so I think that's the other thing, is that they learn what it takes to win. They then put the work in to win. They don't just assume they're going to win. And so these people that have competition are quite focused on doing the work to win, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're that energizing force that can come in and really help others to raise their standards of performance. They've got that energetic towards, crossing that finish line first. And I think a lot of times, we talk about, when, you and I, when we're unpacking some of these strengths, talk about, like, where's an environment where somebody that has competition high in their top 5, would thrive, or where would they not thrive. I think having kind of almost like the sprints toward a goal, or toward whatever the win is that they can define, being seen. So able to do the work towards an actual seeable goal, instead of maybe one that's far out into the future and that might not be defined yet. So once they've got those kind of metrics in place, they're able to use that energy and just move forward.
One of the things where we're doing our unpacking from is my little carriage house that's behind my house. And you very much, of all people, know the struggles that I went through in terms of doing this, because a lot of the work I did by myself. And I was able, though, I did have a really great tradesman who would remind me if there was if I brought him in to do some work because we needed 2 sets of hands, or his strengths were not my strengths, and so I hired him to do, he would walk into the place and he'd go, "Let's get a quick win." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And we would have this huge project of like vaulting the ceilings or, whatever it was. But he'd say, "Let's get a quick win under our belts. We'll get some momentum. We'll get that feeling of win. And then that's going to help us get this long project we need to do." And so you said it beautifully, in that sense of, I think every one of us thrives from a little bit of I did that, or that win, or that little side. But I just love that he reminded us, even during a marathon race, marathon work day, whatever it is, that there are things that you can do, especially for someone who has competition, if they're in an environment where they can't, the little victories don't happen naturally, to create them, right?
Yeah.
Is to, and whether it's with themselves or against others or racing the clock or whatever it is, but there's ways that you can do that and create that environment. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think there's, thinking about that, that's so interesting. I always, when I meet people, again, talking about strengths, I always think, oh, I wish I knew what their strengths were. So I just, I'm sure you had some insights about your friend there. But when I talk about, competition and what's really important to somebody who is in a, what kind of environment would they thrive in? That you said measured, like being able to measure those wins.
Yes.
So measure is really important. I think that comparison is really important. That having that external, whatever the driver is, somebody in the next lane that they can compare themselves to, is really important. And seen, being able to be recognized for that win, a public kind of almost recognition is important, and also winnable.
Yes.
It's finding in situations where, those wins build on each other, and that momentum and that energy, it keeps building. So definitely, having that win, whatever it might have been early in the day, that could be measured and seen, and it was very fueling.
I know that you have a client that you're working with, and obviously we're very confidential, so we don't talk about who those clients are, who has competition. And I'm wondering, one of the things with the former clients that I've had that have competition, one of the things that's a challenge for them at times is actually starting something where there'll be no data, they can't compare, and they don't see a good outcome. Often they won't do it. And they may look stubborn, or they may look like, I don't know. It's just an interesting thing that happens where they're just like, if I cannot be the best at it, or I do not see the way that we're going to win, I'm not going to put my energy towards that.
Yeah, I think that's a real thing. I really do. It's in a way of saying, well, if it's not a winnable situation, or, I can't see how that could be, I'm not going to engage in that. And I think, I don't think that should have, I think that can be judged, obviously, but I think that is really important. Those parameters are really important.
And I think at times, unfortunately in life, often there are things that we're going to have to do that maybe go up against our strengths. And this is a great way to kind of hack the strength, is one of the beautiful things about competition that I think a lot of people don't understand is people with competition are the biggest cheerleaders in the room.
For others, yeah.
For
absolutely.
others, right? And so even if for you, the person with competition personally, if maybe they don't see they're going to be good at it, they're going to win at it, but still enjoy and have that feeling of, I want to champion others, is that is an opportunity to say, who could win at this? And how can I champion that person? And I'm going to use the win, how can I champion that person to perform in a way that, for whatever reason, even if getting half to the goal, that's a win for them, because maybe they've never done that before,
Right.
So
right. I think that's a really good point. And also, we had started the conversation when you were talking about how, it's kind of a polarizing strength. You've got the people who are like, yes, I've got, that's part of who I am. I love that. And then others who think, oh no, I don't want to be the win-win-win all the time. But being able to point out to them, how they can really utilize this strength that can almost be judged in a way of, especially in our culture now where, we don't want to be seen as in some situations, or I'm thinking I'm a mom, who has children where they've taken away the Johnny wins and Peter comes in second, it's almost like we all win together. That judgment around it. And so how can you help clients who have competition, kind of lean into it, understand it, and have a different experience with it? And I think that was just a great example of how they can use it with others.
Yeah. And something we talked about before we started the actual recording of this is how some of the strengths it's not, in theory, you don't just lead with one strength, right? If your strengths, as I like to play with that idea of the metaphor of your strengths are your internal organs, the brain, the heart, the lungs, the kidney, the liver, you need all five to be working.
Yeah.
And so the goal is not just to understand competition as a strength for you, but it's how competition may play with some of the other strengths that you have.
Absolutely.
And kind of understanding that, because there's
super important.
I think that takes away sometimes the judgment of, well, if I'm competitive, that sounds like I will just bulldoze somebody over. And you know what? Yeah, if it's dialed up really high and your other strengths are not being used at the same time, yes, absolutely, you could absolutely bulldoze somebody over to get to the finish.
Yeah.
And if you find yourself doing that, know that probably one of the other strengths that you have is not being utilized, right?
Right. No, that's funny. What just came to my mind was, the family out at putt-putt golf, and you've got a family member saying, well, we have to win at this, and it's like, how can we bring playfulness sometimes in to soften some of these strengths. But that just came to my mind as something funny, because I've been in that situation before. I think that's going back to what I love about working with CliftonStrengths and everyone that I talk to about this is it really is dependent. We have the strength of competition. We can define it and we can talk about it solo, but it really shows up so differently for all of us, whatever that strength may be, depending on the constellation of our other ones. And so for competition, if you're pairing it with, let's say context.
Yes.
Strength of context. Somebody with context is really kind of looking a lot to the past to help make sense of their reality. That's their lens in a way. And so competition is going to show up differently for that person, than it would for someone who has, say, futurist as another top five. Yeah. And so it's really just so much fun to see.
And so to play with that with context,
how they all work together.
If you have context and competition, you utilize the past for future wins, right? And so versus futurist, which doesn't need the past as much to understand how to move forward, right? Another example of that can be really kind of fun is I have strategic as one of my strengths. And strategic in a nutshell is sort of being able to see patterns and also holes of what something is missing. And one of the things about having strategic and competition could possibly be, where can we win? Not just we're going to go win and we're just going to go, but it's like, where is there an opportunity to win? Where are there opportunities? And being able to read, I call it reading the tea leaves, kind of being able to sort of see what's happening and being able to go, that's a win. Oop, there's an opportunity. Maybe that's something to stay away from.
Yeah.
But being able to use those and, it's just one of those things where even with the most rarest of strengths. So for example, I think I was just doing a little context myself and looking at the data, and connectedness and competition are the two are like the least likely to have somebody have those top five be the least likely. And I think the beauty of them is if they both exist, it's, it's win, comparing, but also understanding how you're connected to the win and how you're connected to those around you who maybe are second and third, and just kind of understanding it all. And so it's not impossible to have it. It just tends to be more unlikely that it won't happen, but doesn't mean, and just like with everything with strengths, just because it's not in your top 5 doesn't mean you don't do it. It just doesn't fuel you the same. It doesn't come so naturally that, you know, it doesn't take energy for you. So,
that ease. Yeah.
Tell me, you know, I think one of the things that I actually want to do is most people are like, all right, competition in this, you know, in the boardroom and competition on the professional. I want to talk about competition in personal, in both the highs and lows of it, right? I'm hoping that the highs of it are the dad or mom or sister or best friend who is your cheerleader as you're trying a new sport and is on the sideline going, it's okay that you're last. And it's like, when, you know, they cheerlead for you, they're excited for you. But the downside could be is that perhaps they may judge of, you know, why didn't you win? What was happening for you? Where have you noticed that maybe with your clients or even as a mom in general, even though, you know, competition is not one of your strengths?
No, it's not. And I think it's, you know, I think we can all think of examples, again, the putt golf, you know, being with someone, even a friend group, and you've got somebody who's like, no, we have to win this. And you're like, okay, well, you know, we're just like in the moment, you know, having fun. And so to me, it really highlights the importance, of knowing strengths and even knowing them with your own family members and your parents or your children. I mean, you know, we spoke a little bit about before we were recording this about, you know, if you are growing up in a family and you've got maybe a lot of more of the empathy, kind of harmony, a little bit spiritual, softer strengths in your top 5, and you know, you might have a parent who is, you know, got competition up there. Without that understanding and seeing of other, there can be some hardship with that, even with our own spouse or a child. If we've got such differing inner strengths and we're not able to really see and understand the other and appreciate who they are within the context of strengths, I think it can definitely cause hardship. So I would love to see everyone kind of understanding their circle of family or friends, you know, with their strengths, so that they can have some understanding.
Because to the point, at the end of the day, our strengths come so natural to us that we assume everybody else has them too.
Absolutely.
And that is not the case.
It's not.
So when we find ourselves, I think one of the things that is becoming very clear to me is frustration is a really great indicator that either you are not understanding somebody else's strengths or one of your strengths is not being utilized because you're struggling. What, you know, the thing that comes so natural to you is being blocked in some way. And I think one of the things about understanding about competition is not everybody has the drive to win.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see if I can. I was just thinking about this. I don't know if you can see this, but your speed doesn't matter. Forward is forward.
Yes.
So I, as well, am an athlete. And even though I have not physically competed against somebody else in a road race or on a bike or anything in a really long time, I do compete with myself. But I have found that it was never, I always say that I have never actually been first in any of my sports. I've always come in second and third. But I'm just really proud that I came in, you know, that I did it more than anything. So even though I have competed, I didn't compete to win. I competed for the love of whatever the sport was. And so helping people with competition understand, for some people, speed and winning doesn't matter. Forward is forward for them.
Absolutely.
And so making sure that if you feel that frustration of like, why isn't this person like want to have, want to be the first, or want to be the best, or want to be, for them, check in on their strengths, find out what else is coming up, because for them, it may not be the love of the win, but the love of the experience. Right?
Absolutely.
And so just making sure that there's space for that. So for those of you that are maybe listening to this because you have someone in your family who has competition, or you have a salesman that has competition, or your boss has competition, understand that that's an opportunity. You can give them, you can help feed their need to win by helping them create new wins. And one of the things that they can win is understanding that the two of you are different, right? So there goes my individualization just popped up.
Love that.
As we start to sort of wrap up, is there anything else for you that you want to make sure that our viewers are aware of or think about with competition? The highs, the lows, the good, the bads, anything else that's coming up?
It's just understanding again, like where we can overuse a skill, one of our talents, and, live a little bit too strongly in it, again, understanding how it plays with our other ones, and where we can show up in a way that not only benefits ourselves, but is benefits others, is just such a great thing to invest in, as far as understanding our strengths.
Yeah.
And working with a coach to help you understand how to develop the skill set around those strengths is it's just a life-changing experience. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it comes back around to that beautiful statement that you made in the beginning, which is creating the awareness and really understanding, oh, this is what's happening. This is why I do what I do, or this is why my life partner or my friend or my boss is doing this. That's their strength, right? And that awareness just creates so much space to allow people to be, right? And versus sometimes people ask us often, like, why don't you focus on people's weaknesses, not their strengths? And as I always say, you can only get not so bad at your weakness. Like, because you although maybe somebody with competition may actually get better than not so bad at their weakness, it doesn't fuel them to so the strengths, if you use them, they're your superpowers. If you have a tough project and you're having a hard time creating momentum, find somebody with competition, because they're going to help you say, yeah, so-and-so maybe has this business model before, but we can do it so much differently. We can do this differently. We can create momentum, right? So they are really cool at, I think, helping others not only cheer you on, but also be the momentum builders, which is why it's an influencer theme.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Love it. Augusta, on your birthday, I will give you the last word. So again, happy birthday. Thank you for unpacking CliftonStrengths competition with us.
Super fun.
And this is not designed to be in lieu of a coaching session, but instead helping you, the listener and reader and viewer, understand a little bit more about all the different aspects of our strengths and how they can show up. But I will give you the last word on competition as someone who, although does not have competition as a strength, but whose strengths that you do have maybe shows up at times as helping you drive towards the win. How would you like to end us?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again for being here today. I love these weekly recordings that we do. And, going back to the, understanding, why we do what we do and how to live in, I think of those 3 E's, with ease, excellence, and enjoyment. And when we can really understand how our individual strengths show up for us, it allows us to live in that way. And for me, that's what it's all about. And the ease is where we get energy, our energy comes from these inherent strengths that we have. So
love it.
Thank you for always reminding us of that.
Thank you for reminding us of the ease. I love it.
Super important.
Right. With that being said, we'll see you on the other side of your strengths. And I'm going to throw out for the competition, be strong, go after the win.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks.
Have a great day, Amy.